God, my shepherd, I don't need a thing. You have bedded me down in lush meadows. You find me quiet pools to drink from. True to your word, you let me catch my breath and send me in the right direction. Even when the way goes through Death Valley, I'm not afraid. When you walk at my side, your trusty shepherd's croak makes me feel secure. You serve me a 6-course dinner right in front of my enemies. You revive my drooping head. My cup brims with blessing. Your beauty and love chase after me every day of my life. I'm back home in the house of God for the rest of my life.
A soft place to fall.
So we're back here having Raw Talk at a soft place to fall. How interesting that concept is. We were talking about seasonal people, and I had said that earlier, and you had a question about seasonal relationships and people.
Yes, I do. So, I feel it's possible to have a seasonal person that can lift you up for that time to get you to another place. I could be wrong, but I maybe you might have somebody come into your life to just really get your attention, to push you, but then your season's over with that person.
Mm-hmm.
But they got you to a place where you excelled and you were better.
So, but think of it this way. Now, a seasonal person can encourage you, can build you up, but what tends to happen is people try to make the seasonal person a permanent person.
Oh, okay.
And so again,
Yeah, I can let go.
and a lot of people that have attachment issues, those that got attachment issues, make seasonal people permanent people. And so now the permanent was supposed to only be temporary, and now you trying to figure out why stuff ain't working out because you still got this seasonal person that keep you in this same season, and you keep repeating this same cycle because they were seasonal. Again, when something is permanently, you know it's permanently. There's some longevity that goes with permanent people.
Right.
You can go back and be like, oh, we've been friends for since we came out the womb together. And there's only few of those.
Right.
They're like roots
Right.
in the ground. You only get a few roots. Again, you don't listen. Leaves dry up, crumble. They don't hit the ground and sprout up new seeds. They get blown away with the wind. And so that's what people go after, garbage that have already dried up, withered away, have no life source, have no power, have no anointing. And so again, I'm quick to tell folks, y'all need to remove such and such.
Yes.
Fix this so that you won't be, because again, if you make something seasonal, you now make it your soul tie. And a soul tie now becomes an anchor.
Anchor.
Yeah.
And so, and that seasonal person will always remind you, you can't do nothing without them. Then make you feel like you need them in every situation. You can't grow, you can't have nothing better, you can't, because they always feel like I'm the one that got you there.
Right. So that way they are encouraging you because they wanna like put that claw in there. You know, you wouldn't be who you are without me and that kind of stuff or whatever. I did, that thing when you was talking about like abandonment. And what people who like attach, and I think a lot of it has to do with what I was saying earlier about the people I would kept running back to them, and I realized a lot later growing up, that I have abandonment issues. My biological father walked out of my life. I actually saw him drive away, and so it was pretty much to the point then where I felt like people who's supposed to love me, they always leaving. You know what I'm saying? And nobody was there protecting me. So instead of just, and you get people who are in your life, they're like, oh, you can do it, you can go, whatever, fake, false, or whatever, but you get it. You like, oh, let me just really, and then you don't want to let go of that whole, and you create this whole fake relationship, and like you said about the whole thing about soul ties being one-sided, you got a whole fake relationship in your whole brain because you thinking that, this person down for me, but really they just tolerating you until they can find a moment to get rid of you. They can find a moment to cut you off. They're like, listen,
Sounds like a Heather Headley song. in my mind.
Yes. That's exactly. And you know, I used to love that song.
I did too. That's why it came to mind. I was like, well, there it is.
There it is. I used to love that song too.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, how does one break free if you know that you are in a relationship and this is not good for you, and this may be a little bit deeper than what we intended to go into, but thank you, Holy Ghost. I don't
That's
know.
right.
Somebody might need to hear this. How do you find that scapegoat to break free when you know you are in a relationship and you know it's not good for you, or you know that season is up? How do you break free from that?
So, I'm gonna use the simple phrase as our parents used to say. When you get tired,
Yes.
really tired, God opens up a door.
Yes,
for
He
you.
will.
That's right.
And I can speak on I was in something for 14 years.
7.
And I was like,
20.
okay, Lord, I need to be really out of this because this is toxic. I'm going to end up killing somebody, or it's going to be a whole situation. And I promise you, I went to go apply for an apartment, and I knew where my credit was. No problem of getting this apartment. It was in the amount that I could afford it by myself. God didn't miss a beat, and I slowly transitioned on out the house. I took bags by bag. I moved my own self. I ain't getting no help. I moved my own self. Because again, you would say you can keep furniture, you can keep whatever you need to keep, because I can start over. So again, when you get really tired, He will do it so smooth. And be like, I wasted all this amount of time, but I could have been out of this situation. Because again, the predator now works on your psyche. That's what a predator does. So in soul ties, the very thing you dislike, if you don't get free, you become. And so now, what used to taunt you, you now become the taunter. And so again, I dealt with rejection my entire life. So what I did to people was reject them before they can even get to me.
That's right.
I could be in the club and all listen, you go ahead and turn back around because that thought that you had on your brain is not going to happen. Reject. I kept the reject sticker all day long. And I had to realize that God says, I'm bringing folks to you that's going to push you for better. You keep rejecting what I keep sending to you. And so, but I had to recognize that it was being sent to me from God. And not from the enemy, because the enemy can disguise himself as an angel of light. And we go after what looks like possibility when it's not the permanent.
And the room goes silent.
Because they got good potential.
Yeah.
And we go after good potential.
Yeah.
But they don't have the right seed. So like for me, I used to tell people, take ingredients and write down on the paper that you want in your person. I don't care if they got all except for one. Listen, you are not the one.
Come on now.
Because the Father told me to create what I need, and He will supply it. And He will give me the desires of my heart. So people tell me, your standard's too high. And my reply is that it's not too high, you're just not the right person. And so,
All right.
so again, so again, and it's okay to say that, because again, God will give you that's going to balance you. He will give you as a leader. He's not going to give me somebody that stays in the pew. He's got to give me somebody that's of my own kind or higher than I am, because they got to pull something out of me so that I can be better. And again, we go after people that we already know we can manipulate.
That's right.
I want you to think about that. Wow. I think you I thought I saw a hand come up.
I did.
Yes.
I was in a relationship for 28 years. I was married for 28 years. And I was miserable. But I didn't make a decision to do anything. I got complacent in it. But when my mother died in 2009, she died, I began to live. Because in me, I was like, I cannot and I will not do this anymore. Because at that time, I knew God was going to take me somewhere, and he couldn't go. I didn't know where God was taking me, but it took my mother's death to cause me to live.
Wow.
So sometimes, God will let you stay in something so long, and some things birthed out of me, some songs birthed out of me. So it's okay that I went through what I did, but it took my mother's death to really cause me to take a stand. Plus, it was a friend. She said, Lisa, you can't do the same thing looking for a different result. You got to do something different. So when I took a stand and did something different, it got his attention.
Yeah.
So that's when it started.
And I think we all fall into that trap from time to time. We become comfortable and complacent, knowing that the situation is not good. But I'm all right. I'm surviving.
Right.
He hit me today.
Today.
So things are okay right now.
Right.
At least we tell ourselves that. But we thank God for divine visions and sometimes he has to make it very comfortable for us to move.
But you said something powerful just in the word survive.
That's right.
If you're in a relationship and you just in it to survive,
You already did.
you are already dead.
Right.
And so again, God will never put you in something where you just surviving.
That's right.
Because he's a just God. And I don't just need to survive, I need to live. And so if you're not causing me to live, it's okay to say goodbye. And you got to be careful that you don't allow people to speak over your life to keep you in bondage. Because we know scripture says when it comes to relationship, stay in your marriage, work your marriage out. And then as a counselor, I tell folks, did God put this together or did y'all put this together? Because if God didn't put it together, listen, it's already shaky because it's not on the foundation. And so again, now it does not say God can't get in the relationship, because it said that the woman shall sanctify the man and the husband shall sanctify the wife. But if ain't none of y'all sanctified, then we're gonna be throwing blows along the way. And you shouldn't have in your relationship where you are talked to like you're a dog.
That's right.
That they're talking down to you rather than building you up as a woman, as a man. Yeah, listen, because in this day and age, time has switched.
Yes.
The women are the strong ones and the men are the weak ones. And when you get a strong woman that talks down to a man, you can't expect him to rise if you keep your foot on his neck. And so again, I don't care if my woman makes more than me. Listen, don't hold it over me.
Right.
Because again, if you can't push me for better in all my relationships that I've had, I was always the GM of some type of company. So if they lost a job, guess what? You going to work, partner. You listen, you're not staying in this house. We're going to get you right together. Because again, we got to flow together. That's somebody that takes care of responsibility. And I've said this when we was down in Louisiana. A man is head of the house. A woman is head of the home. So when the word meets the worshiper is supposed to ignite the word. And so if my house is tore up, the home is already destroyed. And so the home job is to speak to the ability of the house. And so therefore, if she sees a leak in the house, she gonna say, babe, there's a leak. Can we get this fixed? If I don't move from the word she just spoke, then that leak gonna become a whole situation.
Yes.
And then after a while, the home gonna be gone. And so therefore we try to figure out how the home disappeared. Well, she told you to fix the roof.
Right.
But you didn't fix it because you was too busy trying to be with your boys. You was too busy being in the streets. And then we got to be careful in the home as women that we don't invite stuff in that shouldn't be in, because we invite Bestie to come in and Bestie wants your man. Bestie wants your woman. And so therefore Bestie is friends with your boo, and so when you leave, they done hooked up in some type of situation. And so now you going to work handling business and they done slept together. They done been together. And we got to get out of this mindset that open relationships are cool.
What the world is that anyway?
What is that?
Open means just what it says.
Yeah.
It's open.
Just be single
It's like a
wide.
drive-through.
Open.
You drive in and
Do
get
that.
yours.
Let me just say something.
He's like, that whole this kebab.
Where did that come from? What is in a person's mindset that it's okay to be in a relationship yet it be open for other opportunities to do whatever you want to do? Why not just do you?
So again, low self-esteem.
Low self-esteem.
Like she said,
Very
it goes
good.
again. If I'm not healed, I invite everything in. And then also you got to understand the spirit of lust. Because the word says when lust has conceived itself, it birthed forth sin. And so therefore, if I'm lusting, I can be in a whole relationship. Now I'm masturbating because lust is more prevalent. Now I'm watching pornography. Now I want a threesome. Now I want foursome. Now I want to be a swinger. And I'm inviting the one that I'm with into all of these situations. So when I get into a relationship with somebody, instead of me going through all those issues, I just call it open.
No.
Right.
It's just open now. So, because now I ain't got to consult with you. It's open. So if I want to go next door, I can go next door.
Oh, they can come over
Go
to you.
next door and stay next door.
Yeah.
Relationships. Who would have thought you would go through all of that in a relationship?
A soft place to fall.
Are you covered, protected, and prepared? Don't you want to ease your mind by having the confidence that when the time comes, you and your loved ones are protected and insured? It's as easy as picking up the phone and calling licensed life agent Enidra Wells, 225-936-6017. With care and compassion, Enidra will walk you through the entire process of having you and your loved ones covered, protected, and prepared. No exams, most pre-existing diagnoses are covered, no special requirements. So call today, 225-936-6017, and have the assurance of insurance. Here it is, one of my most favorite features here at A Soft Place to Fall. I get a chance to tell on people, get a chance to tell God about some of the wonderful vessels that He has placed in our lives. In our recent trip to Atlanta, Georgia, we had a fantastic time. Everyone was so accommodating and so hospitable and just wonderful. But we ran up on two individuals who were at our beck and call. Everything that was needed was provided as we weaved our way through uncharted territories in Atlanta, Georgia. They were just a phone call away. And for that, I'm going to tell God on Arnold Gilbert and William Richard, two very powerful, dynamic men of God. Keep doing what you're doing. God sees and He knows. If you have someone you'd like for me to tattle on, simply send me their information via email, asoftplacetofall@yahoo.com, and I'll be sure and tell God on them for you. Congratulations, you found it, a soft place to fall, right here. Are you enjoying what you're experiencing? The magnificent guests, the beautiful setting, all of this just with you in mind. We need your help. Why don't you consider sowing into the very fertile grounds at A Soft Place to Fall? You can simply do it using the Cash App, $Model Voice. If you want to continue seeing all of this beautiful exhibitions that we're presenting to you, helping you find your soft place to fall, we encourage you to support us. Now back to A Soft Place to Fall. We're having raw talk. Yeah, I'm glad I have a soft place to fall. Things have gotten quite interesting and heated. Before we went to the break, this whole thing about a better half. Are you a half a person? and you bring someone into a relationship and now you become old. That's come from.
So yeah.
Did I strike a nerve somewhere?
So think about it. People, we become cliche people.
Yes.
We pick up cliche words and try to make them reality words. And so, a better half, oh, this is my better half. Nothing is half of you that comes to you. You just finding your counterpart that's supposed to belong to you. Again, when something is better half, mean you will never be whole. And a half don't make a whole with another person that is already broken into pieces.
That sounds good.
Clear, because again, if I say I'm half and they are half, then that's what everybody's trying to say we made whole. But again, if I'm not whole, I can't make you whole.
That's right.
Which goes all the way back to what we said at the very beginning, making sure that you're healed
Yes.
and complete, so that wherever you tread your feet involving developing relationships, you're whole, you're complete.
So speaking of that, we done bypassed this whole pillow right here that says a soft place. Tell me what a soft place to fall is.
For in a relationship or just in general? In general, a soft place to fall came about Psalms 91, very familiar and very wonderful passage of scripture. Talk about he who dwells in the secret place of the Most High God. And that fell in my spirit real deep, and I'm not going to sound like Medea, but it fell in my spirit real deep because there's so much going on in this world. And I found myself, in particular, like walking around with all of this baggage and luggage and stuff, and even carrying stuff on my back. And I got to the point where I was like, if I could just drop all this stuff and fall out and scream. But if I fall, I need a soft place to fall. I need to fall in the comfort of something that's going to sustain me, and I'm not going to hurt myself when I fall. So therefore, we found this wonderful soft place to fall in the things of God that make life so much better than what we're dealing with on a regular basis out in this cold, cruel world. And that's what it is.
Cool. So now I'm going to be devil's advocate for a second, if you don't mind.
How did I know this?
So when I think of a soft place to fall, think about relationship, and I always divert it to the bed. The first thing a bed does is invite you in. We get pillow tops, we get the fold up kind, we get the hard, firm, whatever your style is, that's what we go after, because it now becomes my soft place. So when we get in sin, the enemy makes everything soft for us so that we get comfortable in it. And so therefore the next part that goes on the bed is the fitted sheet. Because once we fit the sheet on there, it now slides you comfortably in the bed. And there's a certain, I need to know if you're a silk person, cotton person, what type of threads that you need, because all threads don't fit well on a body. We need to know that if I'm going to get in this bed, am I going to be naked or I'm going to cover up? And so therefore, it entices me to come into this bed. So once I put the cover on the bed, it now allows me to get so soft and comfortable until I ain't realized that I done got involved in something that I shouldn't be in. And so again, and like silk sheet, if those that like silk sheet, it burns you up real quick. It's cool when you get in, but you now get hot real quick. And so we stay in something that we know is dangerous for us, but because I done got to this soft place, I'm gonna stay right there. And so again, now the next thing the enemy does to help you stay in it is put the blanket on it. It now gets heavy on you. So the spirit of heaviness is now on your life, and we get depressed in the bed.
And now they have weighted blankets.
Weight quilt. You know them quilts back in the day when your grandmama and them put it on you. You wasn't moving nowhere. You was just stuck for life. And so again, that's how sin does us. It gets us so comfortable until we are locked down in something that we can't get out because we too busy trying to go after this soft place. Because the enemy will make it comfortable for you in the beginning, and until they get you, and then all of a sudden y'all throwing blows later on because you done said yes to something that was seasonal.
You got involved in that soul tie too.
Soul tie. And so again, we've been in a situation to where it's funny that when you go to somebody's house, you can be energized all day long. All of a sudden, when the enemy wants to switch the atmosphere, you get tired, you get sleepy. You can sit next to me, or just lay your head on my lap, and now you done got entangled in something that you ain't even realized the setup was coming. And so again, Delilah just didn't jump on Samson.
That's right.
He was already intrigued with Delilah.
Right.
And so since the enemy knew that he was intrigued because he was hoeing the whole time with favor on his life, y'all ain't talking for real. And so that lets me know we got church folks that's got favor still hoeing because they think my favor is getting me all of these blessings. There's a requirement that God calls for his people in order to keep favor on your life. And so again, he got caught up, and so now the Philistines, which is the leaders in the church, done set you up to say, listen, we need to find where his weakness is. And we know you know how to work the scenery. We know he's intrigued by you. Go ahead and work the magic. As soon as she come in, she didn't have to work hard. That's right. She just had to get into his abilities. Where your power lie? Oh, if you throw some ropes on me, then I'm going to be as weak as the Philistine. He get wrapped up. That's how blind he was. Everything he spoke, she was doing. That should have kicked off in your brain.
Right.
Then
that's right.
Some stuff we know that they're doing to us because we giving them the information.
Right.
And we still stay in that situation until the last part. She said, you keep lying. She really played the role. You just lied to me. You just, And then she said, I saw his heart. And he told the truth. Shaved his head and he became weak. And had to be punished for all of the stuff that he got involved in because he thought his favor with God was still lasting. And the word says that he didn't even realize the Lord had already walked off and left him. And there are people that are preaching that the Lord has already walked off and left them.
Y'all need to do better.
And once again, the room goes silent.
Get in these relationships, and you know my story about the way it was controlled. Because I've been dead, but I was still living in this. But when you in this, and you get everything you want, but you feel something ain't right, but you still sit there. Because like the old cliche say, like you say, sometimes when your hand is in the lion's mouth, you got to ease your way out. It was a hard situation when you go to work, you're making all the money and everything, and you know what you make, you know what you see, but you never ever get to spend it. But you always come home and everything is always there for you. But then you don't have the ability to go out and do it for yourself. Then it becomes to be an issue. But then when because God told me I was coming back here in September the 11th. I think it's been about 5 or 6 years ago now, but going on 6 years. And I asked him for what and why. Because I had got tired because I didn't believe in the preach, none of that stuff. They couldn't tell me nothing. Because I seen enough. But laying in the bed one day, just one Saturday, just because I didn't have a Facebook page. I didn't get a Facebook page until I was 50, my birthday. And I was just scrolling through the pictures, and I came upon Apostle Zachary, and it's like I kept on scrolling, but it's like it just wouldn't move. And I turned the phone up, and I said, "Why this picture? Why this won't move?" So I communicated, and I tell you, I don't like you. I don't trust you. Y'all just like the rest of these people, hung the phone up, everything. He told me he told me I know why I can tell you why you're frustrated, and he told me what it was. I hung the phone up again. But he invited me to go to service that Sunday. And I've heard about the fivefold, but never seen it in operation, none of that. And so I went, I seen it. But that relationship that was in, it was like, you shouldn't talk to him. You shouldn't be around. I know this, I know that. Things had started to aggravate me to the point where, I was tired. I wanted to give up, but you know, having you being, you know, dead and didn't even know it is a whole different genre. Because I supposed to went out of town to Tennessee with him to a revival. He said, the Lord said, you're not going. I was hot. I was ready to go because that house. Because I could call him and tell myself, I'm tell you what they finna say, what they finna do, and how they gonna act.
Let me interject for just a moment. Because you said something in the beginning of other people controlling your life. The way somebody control your life is when you've already relinquished your rights, relinquished your power. Because I know your background and because I know your story, a lot of times it formulates, and I said this at the beginning, how we deal with parents. So if my mom has given me everything my entire life and I never had to do anything else, I go find somebody else that's gonna do the exact same thing to take care of every situation. So it becomes frustrating when you now have to learn it all by yourself, when you've always had people to do it for you. And so, like for myself, I grew up faster than I was supposed to. So I've been a parent since I've been 11. And so so now I treat everybody like I'm their daddy. Because I've always been in a position of power, in a position of gotta fix it, make it happen. And so this extenuate how I let people do stuff for me. Because I've always had to do it and I had to do it for everybody else. So people giving me stuff, I pushed it away. Like, no, I don't want, because I always thought it came with some type of situation, an attachment or what they want from me or whatsoever. And so in order for me to beat you to it, I just take care of the situation myself. And so in my old age now, God is teaching me, you gotta let people do for you. You got to allow people, and so that place of being open, that place of being transparent. So if you never identify your weakness, how can it become stronger if I never admit that there's a weakness? Because the word says, them that are strong bear the infirmities of the weak, and then turn around and say, let the weak say I'm strong. So therefore you shouldn't be weak at any part, because if I take on your situation or the burden, because the same way I fuss at you, I fuss at Kerwin. I fuss at him all of the time. Why you doing this? What you got this for? Why you ain't did this yet? And so again, that's that relationship. Now, if somebody else did it, he might not receive it. And you got to understand that when you build relationship, people can receive you in a way that they can, okay, yeah, that's you right. Let me get this together. Right. But if you off the street telling me something, you might catch the other side of me.
We got to take a break. On that note, we'll take a break. But before we do, yes, he does. He does. We had a conversation just a couple of weeks ago, and he posed a question. He said, I want you to do your homework. I want you to come up with one word to describe yourself. If somebody asked you who Kerwin was. And so I gave it some thought, and later that evening I said, humble. Because one of the things that my father instilled in me is humbleness. He returned and said, no, how about stubborn? Like, comment, and subscribe to what? A Soft Place to Fall with Kerwin Fealing YouTube channel. See you soon.
A soft place to fall. A soft place to fall.